Get ready to relive the drama, passion, and controversy of one of the most infamous managerial stints in football history. Join us as we recap Michael Sheen's electrifying performance as the legendary Brian Clough in the gripping film, The Damned United. Strap in for a roller coaster ride of emotions as we delve into the tumultuous 44-day reign of Clough at Leeds United, a story that will leave you on the edge of your seat until the very end. Don't miss out on this unforgettable tale of ambition, ego, and redemption. So, at the start of the film, a depiction of the challenging matches in the England Football League is presented. In 1974, the England national football team faced elimination from the World Cup. This led to a press conference featuring Don Revie, who announced his departure from Leeds United to become the coach of the England national football team. Meanwhile, Brian Clough, seen participating in a television interview, consistently speaks negatively about Don Revie. Despite the fact that Don Revie previously coached Leeds United and Brian took over as his successor at the club, Brian's disparaging remarks towards Don Revie persist. Following the televised interview, Brian pays a visit to the Leeds United training ground at the behest of the club's directors, aiming to address his contentious comments about Don Revie. The directors caution Brian against involving personal grievances at the club, but Brian asserts his independence from their authority, expressing his desire to outshine Don Revie and reform the perception of Leeds supporters. Brian's intense animosity towards Don Revie is revealed to have originated 6 years prior, specifically in 1968. During that period, Brian served as the manager of Derby County, a team in the second division, with Peter Taylor as his assistant coach. Despite Derby County's low position in the league standings, Brian's attention was piqued when they had the chance to play against Leeds United, the top-ranked team in the first division of the England Football League under the guidance of Don Revie. Brian felt a sense of respect towards the esteemed opponent they were about to face, going as far as preparing team greetings and a bottle of wine to share with Don Revie. However, upon Leeds United's arrival, Brian and his team were dismayed to find that the tradition of stopping 100 yards before the opponent's gate was not upheld. The Leeds players passed them without exchanging pleasantries, leaving Brian feeling slighted and unappreciated. Throughout the match, Brian's frustration escalated due to the aggressive and dubious tactics displayed by the Leeds players, including diving to secure a penalty that led to a goal. Feeling deceived, Brian's resentment grew when Don Revie failed to acknowledge him after the game, departing without partaking in the customary post-match wine-drinking session in the Premier League management room. Despite Brian's thorough preparations, his hopes of seeking revenge during the encounter with Leeds, Brian vowed to avenge the perceived disrespect by defeating Don Revie's team. However, this seemed unattainable as Derby County was a division below Leeds. Determined to elevate his team's performance and close the gap, Brian and Peter Taylor strategized on bolstering the squad. Peter embarked on a mission to scout for potential players and came across Dave McKay, a seasoned player from Tottenham offered a coaching role with the Scottish team. Initially hesitant due to Dave's age, Brian eventually relented, persuaded by Peter's belief that Dave could inject new energy and tactics into the team. They traveled to London to recruit Dave and further extended the team by acquiring Alan Hinton, Dave McKay, and John O'Hare, despite facing opposition from the club management. Through Brian's bold decisions and strategic signings, Derby County triumphed in the Division II competition, while Leeds United secured the Division I championship in the same year. Fast forward to 1974, Brian embarked on a new challenge as the head coach of Leeds United. However, the transition was far from smooth sailing as obstacles and challenges loomed ahead for the experienced manager. Brian's attempts to implement fairer and less aggressive tactics were met with resistance from the seasoned players at Leeds United, as they were accustomed to their rough style of play. Additionally, Brian's words had a negative impact on the morale of the Leeds United players. Reverting back to 1969, a crucial meeting between Derby and Leeds United took place. Despite Brian's efforts, the initial season did not yield immediate success for Derby. In the debut match, Derby suffered a demoralizing 5-0 loss, further fueling Brian's frustration. Determined to turn the tide, Brian took matters into his own hands by bringing in new players without seeking approval from the club management, despite Peter cautioning about the club's existing debts. Unperturbed by financial concerns, Brian pressed on, convinced that the on-field performance should take precedence over administrative issues. Despite facing challenges and clashes, Brian eventually succeeded in recruiting a promising new player named Colin. Subsequently, Derby County faced off against Leeds United once more, with Brian orchestrating a winning strategy and entrusting Peter with a pivotal role during the match. Through strategic planning and team effort, Derby County emerged victorious, igniting a surge in confidence and performance that propelled them from the bottom of the standings to the top. This upward trajectory culminated in Derby County's historic triumph in the First Division League in 1972, solidifying their status as a respected and revered team in the eyes of the British public. Fast forward to 1974, where Leeds United clashed with Liverpool in a highly anticipated match, drawing the attention of fans and former coach Don Revie, now at the helm of the England national football team. However, tensions escalated during the game as Leeds United players engaged in unsportsmanlike conduct towards their opponents, resulting in one player being ejected from the field. The match ultimately ended in Liverpool's favor. In a further blow to Leeds United, the player faced disciplinary action from the FA Disciplinary Commission, leading to a 10-game suspension and posing a challenge for Brian as he sought a replacement. Despite turning to his friend Peter for assistance, Brian's efforts were met with disappointment as Peter expressed hurt over Brian's previous words and actions. Overcome with guilt and remorse for undervaluing his friend, Brian found himself in a state of distress. Reflecting back to 1973, Derby County achieved success on the European stage, earning them the privilege of representing England in international competitions. As the team management stressed the importance of focusing on these prestigious events, a significant domestic league fixture against their fierce rivals, Leeds United, loomed on the horizon. This crucial match sparked tension between Brian and the club management as they clashed over the decision to field substitute players instead of their main squad against such formidable opponents. The disagreement further strained the relationship between Brian and the team management, setting the stage for a challenging period ahead. Brian's increasing arrogance led him to belittle the team management and attribute Derby County's accomplishments solely to his own efforts. Despite this, Derby County ultimately fielded their main squad against Leeds United in a bid to secure victory over their rival. However, their efforts fell short, with key players sustaining injuries due to the rough play of the Leeds team. Forced to switch to their second-string lineup for the subsequent match, Derby County suffered another defeat, ending with a 3-1 loss against their rivals. Brian's frustration with the team management reached a boiling point, resulting in his assistant coach, Peter Taylor, experiencing a heart attack and requiring hospitalization. In an impulsive move, Brian tendered a resignation letter to the team management, aiming to leverage the situation to elevate his position to general management. Unexpectedly, the management accepted Brian's resignation, contrary to his intentions to stay with Derby County. Despite pleas from supporters urging him to remain, the decision was final, prompting the appointment of Dave McKay as the new coach for Derby County. Subsequently, Brian and Peter transitioned to coaching roles at Brighton, a third-division club. Although initially reluctant to coach at that level, Peter's persuasion coupled with competitive compensation swayed Brian's decision. Shortly after assuming coaching positions at Brighton, a representative from Leeds United approached Brian with an offer to join their coaching staff. Simultaneously, Don Revie had been appointed as the coach of the England national team. Intrigued by the opportunity, Brian considered the offer and extended an invitation to Peter to join Leeds United. However, Peter declined, citing their brief tenure at Brighton and the lack of contributions to the club's management team. Despite Peter's reservations, Brian remained determined to pursue greater opportunities, deeming the current club too limiting for his ambitions. Ultimately, Brian made the decision to leave, while Peter chose to stay with the Brighton club, diverging their paths in the football world. These two companions eventually went their separate ways, even distancing themselves from each other due to hurtful remarks made by Brian towards Peter, accusing him of lacking courage in critical situations. In 1974, Brian, as the head coach and team manager, initiated player transfers for Leeds United due to their poor performance at the start of the season. However, this decision was met with disapproval from the Leeds United players who deemed it wasteful. Additionally, the players began to distance themselves from Brian, believing he did not respect the culture of Leeds. Comparisons to Don Revie's coaching practices fueled Brian's anger, as he harbored disdain towards Revie. Following defeats against QPR and Luton, the public outcry for Brian's dismissal from Leeds United grew, particularly after his strategy of transferring 3 players failed to yield positive results for the club. Subsequently, Brian faced scrutiny from the team directors for his managerial decisions that failed to foster team cohesion. Despite Brian's attempts to defend his actions, mounting pressure coupled with negative public sentiment ultimately led to his dismissal from Leeds United, making headlines in the media. In a notable turn of events, Brian found himself in an interview alongside his rival Don Revie, with tensions underscoring their historic animosity. While the rivalry even initially stemmed from personal issues, the interview escalated into a heated debate between Don Revie and Brian, with Revie critiquing Brian's coaching methods and tactics at Leeds United. Brian's hurtful words further deteriorated the team's unity, sparking discord among the players. In response to criticisms, Brian retaliated by alleging that, under Don Revie's leadership, Leeds had the worst disciplinary record, resorting to unethical practices to secure victories. The clash of opinions between the two coaches was unavoidable. Reflecting on past grievances, Brian recounted an incident where Don Revie displayed disregard towards him by refusing to shake his hand before a match. In return, Don Revie claimed he was unaware of Brian Clough's identity at the time, asserting that had he known, the interaction would have been different. He characterized Brian as a troublemaker who stirs controversy in every club he joins. The debate concluded with a mutual challenge set for the next 5 years. Following the contentious interview, Brian contemplated the events and resolved to visit his former friend, Peter, extending a heartfelt apology for his past conduct. This reconciliation paved the way for their reunion and renewed friendship, setting the stage for a fresh start. Together, they embarked on a new chapter, assuming coaching roles at Nottingham Forest and achieving remarkable triumphs, winning the Premier League in 1978 and claiming back-to-back European championships in 1979 and 1980. In contrast, Don Revie, who failed to secure a coaching position with the England national team and became embroiled in a financial scandal. This narrative encapsulates the journey of an ambitious coach who navigated his team from the second division to victorious champions in the prestigious first division of the Premier League. And the end, bye-bye, like, comment, and subscribe.